everybody, I'm back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the CS-426 short, again with hip ties here like last week. This is also made by Orchard Corset. You can get this with or without hip ties, but full disclosure, the one with hip ties does have my label in it. Once again, many years ago I had made a modification video on how to add hip ties to a regular corset. Orchard Corset really liked it and they wanted to put it into production, and that's why they gave me credit for it. I'm still going to review this corset the same way that I review all other corsets in the past. I just wanted to let you guys know that for the style with the hip ties, I am somewhat affiliated with that design. So here is the front, side, the back, and the other side. This was taken from the same pattern as the 426, except they took out about 1.5 inches in the top and 1.5 inches in the bottom for the length. So instead of 13 inches in the front, I believe it's 10.25 inches. And then in the princess seam, it is 8.25 inches instead of their normal 10.5 to 11-ish inches. So if you have a shorter torso, but you really like the curve of the 426, this might be a better option for you. The rib spring and the hip spring are not identical to the 426. I believe the way that they made this particular pattern was that they took the original pattern and then they cut off the top and the bottom, as opposed to just like making it more squat. So it essentially has a somewhat smaller rib and hip spring compared to the original 426, but that's just because it's shorter. So the rib spring that I measured on this one was 6 inches. The original 426 is 7 inches, the longer version, because it comes up a little bit higher, so there's a tiny bit more flare. In the lower hip, here it's 12 inches, whereas in the original 426 it's 13 inches. Of course, if you get the version with the hip ties, you can easily undo these laces here and expand it to comfort if you have a hip spring that is more than 12 inches. In the particular version I'm wearing, I feel that the ribs are a little bit more conical than the 426 that I'm used to. And I'm not sure why exactly that is. Perhaps they did change the pattern a little bit. I also feel that the version with the hip ties have more flare in the hips here. Probably because I'm not tying it like super tight that is overlapping. I have naturally smaller hips anyways, so I often don't fill out the top or the upper hip part of many off-the-rack corsets, even if it does seem to fit flush to me at the lower hip. It's just the way that my particular hips are angled. But if you do have fuller hips, then you might appreciate the extra flare here. On me, it looks a little bit unflattering, so I would be more likely to wear the original 426 as opposed to the shorter version here. I have a longer torso as well, so it would just make more sense for me to have more support along the top and the bottom edge. So here is the CS-426 short laid flat. For the materials, it's 3 main layers. The fashion fabric here is black satin. There's an interlining in between the layers that's made with cotton, and then the lining inside is also made from cotton twill. There are 3 labels inside. This one has the fabric content and the washing instructions as well as the size. Here's an Orchard Corset tag, and then this is my tag, Lucio Corsetti, because they gave me the credit for modifying the 426 with the hip ties. Now, if you buy the version without the hip ties, then the Lucio Corsetti label will not be in that one because I did not make the original 426 pattern. This corset has a 6-panel pattern. 1, 2, 3 makes the front, 4, 5, 6 makes the back, and you can see that most of the curve over the hip is between panels 3 and 4, where you can see the hip ties are as well. And this corset is constructed using the sandwich method, like most of Orchard Corset's other corsets. So it's double boned on the seams, and those bones are sandwiched between the layers. If I pull the corset taut, I can see the faint outline of a waist tape on the inside of the corset, 1 inch wide and stretching from the center front seam here all the way to the center back seam. The binding in this corset is made from matching bias strips of black satin, machine stitched on the outside and also on the inside here. You can see that on the outside they stitched in the ditch, so you can't really see a visible top stitch there. Also on the inside there are 4 garter tabs, 2 on each side. The Modesty panel in this corset is a little bit over 5 inches wide, so I would say it's about 4 inches of usable space once you turn it over, and it covers that part of the grommets there. It's unstiffened, finished in black satin on the outside here and a black twill cotton lining here, and it's also attached to the corset using this row of stitching. You can remove the row of stitching and remove this corset. Now you can see that there is some fabric glue in there, so that might leave some residue on your corset, but this glue is not so strong that you wouldn't be able to pull off the Modesty panel if you really wanted to. And in the front there is an unstiffened Modesty placket extending out from the knob side of the busk here, also finished in black satin. The busk in this corset is 9 inches long, and there are 4 loops and pins. The last 2 are a little bit closer together. It's a standard flexible busk, 1/2 inch wide on each side. As I mentioned in other corset reviews, Orchard Corsets busks seem to be just slightly more stiff than some other flexible busks that I've experienced with some other corset brands, and perhaps that's why they didn't feel like they needed to reinforce the busk with some flat steel boning on either side like I see with some other brands. This corset has a total of 22 bones, 11 on each side. It's double boned on the seams here, or most of the seams, using 1/4 inch wide spirals, 2, 4, 6, 8, and that one is single bone near the back there. That one's 9. And then in the very back here are 2 3/8 inch wide flat steel bones sandwiching the grommets. And there are a total of 24 size 0 grommets in this corset with a medium flange around them, equally spaced and finished in silver. And these grommets have washers on the back of them. All of these grommets have split, but because of the nature of the laces, they do not catch on these splits. The laces themselves are 1/4 inch wide, flat nylon shoelace style laces. Like I said, with all of other corsets from Orchard Corset, they are a little bit springy, but they're very difficult to break. The only difference I would make is taking the bunny ears and relacing it so that they're a little bit lower, so that they're closer to the waist tape and also closer to my natural waist, to make it a little bit easier to lace up. The CS-426 short with hip ties is available from sizes 16 all the way up to size 46. From size 16 to 32, it is currently $71. If you get size 34 up to 46, it is $4 more at $75. And I believe it's available in both cotton and satin. I'm wearing the satin one here, of course. And if you don't like the hip ties, you don't like the flare here, the corset is also available without any hip ties, just completely closed on the side seams. And this concludes my review for the CS-426 short with hip ties made by Orchard Corset. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. If you did, please click that like button and help support the channel. If you have this corset, let me know how you like it in a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.